Okay, worksheet 5, unit 5, worksheet 5. We talked about these being opposite and these being consecutive, correct? And what did we just say about consecutive? They add up to 180 or they equal each other?
180.
Add up to 180. 5x. Whoever's talking back there needs to stop. 5x plus 70 equals 180. Can you guys solve that now? Subtract, divide. You have your calculators out on the desk. If you don't have one, go grab one. Everyone has the packet out. Ladies, I need you listening. Okay, what do you guys get for x?
22.
All right, now, on your paper, you need to show the work here. You like this here. You need to have that work. If you just put 22, that is not okay. All right, y. Where is y? Y is here. I have two choices on how to find y. Can anybody tell me one of them? I have right hand up right over there. What would you do?
What you can do 5x plus 4y equals 180, but what you would do is 5 times the x which you got, which is 22, so that you can get for y alone.
Good job. Did you guys hear that? He said 5x plus 4y equals 180. Do you guys agree with that? They're consecutive. And then he said, and then take the 22 and plug it in for x so you can get y by itself. Jada, can you tell me what you just said? 4y equals to 70. Why could we do that as well if we wanted to? Because these are called what? Opposite, which means they are congruent. You pick the one you want to solve. It's totally up to you. I had a handful of kids do this one. I've had a handful of kids do that one. You don't have to do them both. You pick.
Well, will it always be a big number?
Yeah. Because those two will always add up to 180. Those two will always equal each other. What do you get? It's a decimal.
17.5.
17.5. Jada, did you do this one? Or the first one?
The other one.
Okay, did anybody do this one over here?
No.
Yes, did you get the same answer? Yes. So we can see as long as your work is mathematically sound, it's correct, you're not doing anything wonky, and you're solving correctly, your answers will come out the same. All right. Is this parallelogram a square or a rectangle or a rhombus? Rhombus has 4 congruent sides. Does it have any markings to show that?
Yes. Yes.
4 congruent sides. Does it show congruent sides?
Oh.
Does it show opposite sides are parallel?
Yes.
So is it a parallelogram?
Yes.
Remember, it can't be a trapezoid because the trapezoid has only one set. Our definition we use in this class is one set of opposite sides that are parallel, not 2 sets. When there are 2 sets, we call that a parallelogram. Questions on number 1? Okay. Number 2 is, I don't want to say it's tricky, but it has a lot going on. What shape is it if all sides are congruent? Square. Well, not just a square, it's a rhombus, but because this is 90, then that makes it a square. All right, I need you listening. A square is everything. It's a rhombus, it's a rectangle, it's a parallelogram, so we could use all of the properties all together in one. So with that being said, what is x?
90.
90. Now it's only 90 because a square is a rhombus. And a rhombus is the only time where these in here are 90. Why is that? Because the diagonals are, starts with a P. Not parallel, diagonals perpendicular. So when they ask you that on the test, how did you find x? You would say diagonals are perpendicular. Now it's perpendicular because this is a rhombus. Got it? Not because it's a rectangle, not because it's because it is a rhombus. All right. Any thoughts? Any suggestions on how to find y? I'll give you guys a few seconds to think about it. Okay, yes.
Can't you do y plus 90 equals 180?
Okay, where are you getting the 90 from here?
Yes.
Okay, y plus 90 equals 180. You're close. These are not linear pairs. These two are linear pairs, but those two are not. So you do have to add something else in there.
2y plus 90.
2y plus 90 equals 180. She is correct. Can anyone explain why? Okay, she whispered it. Did anybody hear it?
The base angle.
Okay, base angles, why? Base angles are congruent because they're what type of little triangles do I have inside? Isosceles. The only reason I have a bunch of little isosceles triangles is because a square is starts with an R. Rectangle. Rectangles are where you have the little isosceles triangles, not a rhombus, a rectangle. Mendoza, take the hood off in class, please. And you guys need to put your earbuds away, your earphones away. They're not hanging on your neck, on your t-shirt. Put it all away. Okay, so 90 plus y equals 180. Go ahead and solve for that. 45. Okay. Now, I want to pay special attention to 3 and 4. I need everybody listening. If you are working ahead, please stop and listen. Okay, here are common mistakes kids say. They will look at number 3 and say, oh, x is 90 because Mrs. Torres said that was the freebie. No, that not in a rectangle. That inner piece here, the x on number 3, is not 90. That inner piece is only 90 when it's a what? A rhombus. The square, the last one happened to be a rhombus. That's why the inside was 90. So on number 4 is x 90.
No. It's a rhombus, never mind.
Is it a rhombus?
Yes.
Because it's a rhombus, is that x 90 on number 4? Yes. Is it a 90 on number 3? No. I'm going to repeat that. This x is 90 because it's a rhombus. This x is not 90 because it's a rectangle, not a rhombus. Do you see the difference? Okay, here's another mistake kids often make. Please pay attention. And I had a few kids, after I explained it and then I walked around, still asked this question I'm about to tell you here, so please pay attention. This angle right here, this is what they say. Oh, Mrs. Torres, I know this is 90, and 90 cut in half is going to give me y, so y is 45. That is not correct. Okay, yes.
Isn't that 37 because it's the same size?
We'll talk about that one in just a little bit. Okay, so kids will say, oh, cut the 90 in half. Diagonals do not bisect the angles in a rectangle. They do bisect the angles in a what? In a rhombus. Okay, so for example, like these two are 52, these two are the same, those two, not here because this is a rectangle. So can I take the 90 and cut it in half? No, do not do that. Okay, so let's talk about how to find the x and the y on this one here. What do you know for sure about x? We know for sure it's not what? 90. We know we have what type of little triangles inside? And that's only for what shape? Starts with an R? E. R-E, sorry. Rectangles. I know, there's a lot. Rectangles is when you have the little isosceles triangles, which means this little corner here is what? 37. 37, x. Can you use that to find your x? Equals 180. Good job. Add and subtract. Yes.
I actually solved this way you guys were working on.
Okay. Tell me what you got.
Y equals 106.
Y or x?
X.
X equals, did you guys get that?
X equals 160.
Okay, thank you. X equals 106. Okay. What do we know about y's? What you guys were saying earlier. What can you say about these two isosceles triangles right here?
They are congruent.
Can you guys see that side angle side? Side angle side, side angle side. Are these two isosceles triangles congruent?
Yes.
Therefore, y is what?
37.
All right. And z, how are you going to find z?
You're going to do 3x plus 3.
Set them equal. Now, on the test, they will have one of those rectangular boxes where you have to fill it in. On y, what would you say here? Why are these, so how did you solve for z? Would you say all sides are congruent or opposite sides are congruent?
Opposite side.
Opposite sides are congruent. So 3z plus 3 equals 8z minus 7. Why? Because opposite sides are congruent. You will have to explain that on the test. Okay, go ahead. Now, could I call this a square? Could I? Are all sides congruent? No, so it's not a rhombus either. Is it a rectangle?
Yes.
Okay, we know it's a parallelogram, but because of that right angle, does that make it a rectangle?
Yes.
Anybody find z?
It's 2.
2. All right, go ahead and continue. 4 and 5 is what you're working on right now. Guys, I do want to reiterate one quick thing. On a rhombus, do I have the little isosceles triangles in there? No, that's only for a rectangle. In a rhombus, these two are congruent and these two are congruent, but they're not all congruent to each other. They're not the little isosceles triangles. Keep that in mind. Isosceles triangles only happen in the rectangle, not the rhombus.
She asked, is Y 52?
No, that wasn't my question. I had a question about the rhombus.
It is a rhombus. Remember when I said that, you see the markings I just put? In a rectangle, it's only when you have the isosceles triangle. This is not an isosceles triangle, which means those will equal lines.
Oh, so these are all 90.
So that's 90. So that's 90, and that's whatever that is, they by now. They give you one, they give you the 52, is that what that is? And you know the other one's 90. They just add it.
You better not eat them all. I gotta save you something for little daddy. For who? My little daddy. My boy's name is Jeff. Well, why do you guys open it like this? It's like, they won't like open it. How are you supposed to open it? Oh, on the side. Oh, that's boo-boo. That's retarded. Oh, shit, that's boo-boo. No, hold on. Your back pocket?
Y plus Y plus
I got 3.
All right.
I'll let you try.
Okay. Shh. Guys, what do you, look at the little markings I put there. I put them there but didn't really talk about them. We know that diagonals bisect each other, correct? So what can I say about 8n minus 11 and 5n plus 1? Y diagonal starts at the B. Bisect each other. All right. What's this angle right up here in this corner?
90.
90. If this is 90 and that's 52, do you have enough to find x?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I move on now to number 5?
Yeah.
Okay. First off, guys. Okay. Again, big mistake kids make. Y is 90. Is Y 90? No, it's not. It is not 90 because this is not a rhombus. Look at the markings. Do you see that? Okay. I'm going to go and find x first. Do you see where your x's are? Yes. In order to find x, I will tell you this. You are not using any of your properties of a parallelogram. You are using your properties you learned last year at the end of Math 1. Okay, are we ready? Because we reviewed it this year, beginning of the year. Okay, listening. Opposite sides are congruent. Yes or no? Which means this is a parallelogram. Agree or disagree? If opposite sides are congruent, can we say this is a parallelogram?
Yeah.
Which means that opposite sides are also parallel. Agree or disagree? Okay. Take a look at this shape right here. Do you guys remember this? We reviewed it in Unit 1. The Z. What is it? Alternate. If the arms of your Z are parallel, are the arms of my Z parallel?
Yes.
Then alternate interior angles are congruent. So can you now say that 7x minus 19 equals 5x plus 3?
Yes.
All right, it had no properties of the parallelogram. It was properties of alternate interior angles when these lines are parallel.
Wait, how do you know that?
Yes.
Congruent or whatever, the little alternate
How do I know that these are congruent?
I thought you said you couldn't like just put a line.
Okay, oh, you're talking about these little markings in here?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a few things we did. First, we said opposite sides are congruent. That was given information. And by definition, well, not by definition, remember we talked about if we can prove that opposite sides are congruent. Here it is right here. If opposite sides are congruent, then it is a parallelogram. Do you remember that? Okay, so if opposite sides are congruent, it's a parallelogram. So can we say that this shape is a parallelogram if opposite sides are congruent? Okay, if opposite sides are congruent and it's a parallelogram, that means these sides are also parallel to each other. Will you agree that these two right here that I'm pointing to are parallel? Yes? Whenever you have parallel lines, cut by a transversal, alternate interior angles are congruent. And that was the Z shape that we've talked about. So that's why we marked them, because of that backward Z shape we have, and the arms are parallel. There was a lot going on that one. I know. Okay. Anybody know how to find? Okay, you know how to find X. You can use the X to find Y. Yes or no?
Yes.
These all add up to 180. Anybody know what to use to find the N? Okay, I heard 3n plus 2 plus 5n plus 7. Oh, equal each other? Look at the markings. Are they equal to each other?
No.
Yes, back there. Not yes, but yes, back there. Sorry.
2 times 3n plus 2 times 5n plus 7 equals 90.
Good job. Everybody hear her? Guys, there's a lot of side conversations that need to stop. She said 2 times 3n plus 2 plus 2 times 5n plus 7. Where did she get the 90 from? The perimeter is 90. And please stop. Why did she double? Because, please have a seat, gentlemen. Opposite sides are congruent. 5n plus 7 and 3n plus 2. Okay.
Why would you do
Matthew, put that away. Gentlemen, please.
that? That was mine.
And give me that pen back when you're done, please. It goes in here. Kashari, did that make sense now? Because these two are not congruent, I can't set them equal to each other.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Please stop. But I know the perimeter, so we can add up all the sides and equal it to the perimeter. Make sense? Okay, when you're done with that one, flip to the back. Please compare your answers to the people next to you. One of them does come out to be a decimal. All right. We good? Does anybody have what X came out to be? 11. And I heard N came out to be, was it 4.5? And anybody have Y already? 98. And what would this be? A parallelogram. Ray, did you have a question on how they found Y?
Yeah.
Okay, can anybody tell us how you got 98 for Y? Yes.
You do 24 plus y plus 5x plus 30 equals 180, right?
Hold on. 24 plus Y plus 5x plus 3 equals 180. Okay, then you said what?
Then you plug in the x to get your answer so you can find for y alone.
There you go. So he said add up all these angles, 24 plus y plus that angle right there equals 180, which is correct. And he said then plug in the 11 so you can get y alone. And that is correct. We can add 24 plus 3. Was that 27?
Yeah.
Plus y plus 5 times x equals 180. What is x? What is that? And then you do 55 plus 27 and subtract it to the other side.
If you use the other angle, you get the same answer.
If you use this angle up here, yeah, because they're the same.
So you can choose between angles.
Yeah. All right, yes.
So when we're solving for n, do we have to combine like terms? Or?
Yes, up here, I didn't show it, but you would distribute 6n plus 4 plus 10n plus 14, and yes, you would combine like terms. Seth, let me show you what I'm talking about. 6n plus 4 plus 10n plus 14 equals 90. 16n, please stop the talking, plus 18 equals 90. Subtract the 18 and divide the 6, and it gives you the decimal. Got it? All right, back side. Guys. Is the backside a parallelogram? Number 6. No, it is not a parallelogram. Listen. It has only one set of opposite sides that are parallel. Is it a trapezoid? Before you write trapezoid, hold on a second. Are these two congruent to each other?
Yes.
Are these two congruent to each other?
Yeah.
Are these two congruent to these two? Yes or no?
Yes.
So what can I say about BA and CD?
They are equal to.
Are these two equal to each other?
Yes.
What type of special trapezoid is this? And look at the front of your page right over here. Isosceles. So write that here. Isosceles trapezoid. Yes. Hustle, please. Just make sure you sign out. Isosceles trapezoid. All right. What is this guy called? Right here starts with an M. Mid segment. Which one do we double? Base 1, base 2, or the mid segment? Good job. 2 times 2x plus 1 equals the sum of the two bases. 2 times 2x plus 1 equals 2x minus 2 plus 3x minus 3. Distribute and solve. All right. What'd you guys get for x? Okay. How do we find A? Are these the two angles that add up to 180? No, because the arms of the C are not what? Starts with the P. Parallel. Okay, so these do not add up to 180. But because it's an isosceles triangle, what are these two angles called? Starts with the B. Base angles. And what do we know about base angles? Base angles are congruent. That's only because it's an isosceles triangle I can say that those two angles are congruent. That is not true with all trapezoids, but with isosceles trapezoids, these two base angles are congruent and those two base angles are congruent. Go ahead and solve. What'd you guys get? Okay, I am going to start you off on the last piece. Remember, you go up to 12 tonight on your own. So I'm going to put the formulas up here really quick. And what we're going to do is just set them up. We are not going to solve each one. Okay, we're just going to set them up. We're not going to solve each one. You can do the solving. You can do the plugging in on your own at home. Okay. Please stop. Find the sum of the measure of the interior angles. Look at, I have them numbered. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please stop. Which formula would I use to find the sum of the interior? Number 1, n minus 2 times 180. What is n?
17.
Okay, plug it in later, not now. Find the measure of each interior. Which one is each interior? It actually says that, each interior. 1, 2, 3, or 4. The second one? N minus 2 times 180 divided by n. What is n for a decagon? 10. Okay, next one. Again, don't plug it in. The measure of each interior. Is it the same formula as the last one? Yes. Yeah, sorry. Is it the same formula as the last one? Each interior, is it the same formula? Okay. N minus 2 times 180 over n. What is n for an octagon? 8. You need to know a hexagon for sure for the test. Hexagon has how many sides? Okay. Hexagon is 6 sides. Okay, guys, that means you're doing 10, 11, and which one on your own? 12. And plug these in your calculators and get these answers as well.
Yes, ma'am.